Well, we've made it through December and Christmas, through 2021, and now are well launched into the new year. The Magi have made it too, all the way to the feet of Jesus with their symbolic gifts, and then made it safely away. Many of us have already packed away the baby's bright birth and most of Christmas, packed away for another year. Our tradition celebrates 12 days of Christmas, leading up to January 6th, the Epiphany, the manifestation, actually the earliest feast of the divine showing up in our world, our lives, in our bodies, in our stories, in our identity. But it's pretty clear that turning the calendar page has swamped even my own keeping track of these 12 days. It's completely understandable. In fact, it's very important to note. Thank God and thank our lucky stars, we've made it, and now have the chance to cross a new threshold, a new year with its new chances, challenges, and choices. On social media, I've seen dozens of people who have posted pictures or comments wishing 2021 goodbye and good riddance. Sometimes they're showing the numerals of last year being burned and the ashes scattered by the wind, or having been traced in the sand at the beach and washing into the sea. And you walk around San Francisco and there's already a discarded Christmas tree on every corner, becoming a temporary magnet and monument where dogs may offer their unique gifts. Now, I don't doubt for some, if not the worst year ever, 2021 certainly tested the limits of what we thought bearable, and we watched the piling on of grief upon grief. Some of our disappointments and griefs were shared. Others were deeply personal. I lost my brother. I also lost a lifelong spiritual companion. We each have our own list. My favorite parable for this week isn't in the Bible. And I'm sorry, some of you have heard me refer to it before. It's a scene from the animated film The Lion King. No, not the remake from a couple years ago, but the original from 27 and a half years ago. I don't know if you remember the scene. At a turning point in his life, gradually maturing young Simba is at a crossroads. And he's figuring this out, thinking aloud with Rafiki, remember him? His spiritual director. Out of the blue, as Simba is deciding whether he can face his past, Rafiki takes his magic stick and he just whacks Simba in the head. Do you remember that? Oh, geez, what was that for? It doesn't matter. It's in the past. Yeah, but it still hurts. Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. Rafiki swings again, whoosh, but Simba ducks. He doesn't get hit. Ah, you see, you can learn from the past. So what are you going to do? I think these 12 days gives us a chance to simply own up to whether we were able to glimpse the face of God in our midst and let it warm and enliven us at Christmas, whether the gift-giving brought us closer to each other and to our true selves, or not. It's a tough sell these days, Christmas. These 12 days among the swimming swans, partridges, and pear trees might be a leisured looking back at the year, looking back with wonder. Oh my God, there were some amazing moments. Looking back with joy. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. And looking back with courage. Oh my God, that was really, really tough. That really hurt. I'm still feeling like all my energy was and still is taken up trying to throw off weighted blankets of depression. So what are you going to do? Adrienne Rich, the feminist poet who in our lifetimes has been a giant, even W.H. Auden was a fan. When looking back, she longed for simpler, purer, sturdier times. Here's a tiny slice from her magnificent long poem, Readings of History. I skulk here, leafing through ancient copies of Life from World War II. We look so poor and honest there. Girls with long hair badly combed and unbecoming dresses. Where are you now? The present breaks our hearts. I don't endorse romanticizing the losses and deprivations of our lives, poor and honest, or the lives of others, or sweeping them away. Everything happens for a reason. At least not without courageously and honestly naming them, facing them, learning from them. Sometimes the present breaks our hearts. One of the permanent human rights observers to the United Nations, Mohammed Safa, a year ago posted his reflections about the preceding year. What we learned in 2020, that oil is worthless in a society without consumption. That healthcare has to be public because health is public. That 50% of jobs can be done from home, while the other 50% deserve more than they're being paid. That we live in a society, not an economy. The story of Christmas in Matthew's Gospel hardly romanticizes the poverty and deprivation of that newborn child of promise. Just after, Joseph, being warned in a dream, headed south and evacuated his young family to Egypt because Herod demands the slaughter of the young children in Bethlehem, the holy innocents. A modern writer summarized Herod's public accomplishments, calling him one of the most imaginative and energetic builders of the ancient world. Herod guided his kingdom to new prosperity and power. Herod blended creativity and cruelty, harmony and chaos. He had many personal and public accomplishments and had to kill a lot of people, including family members, to get where he wanted to be. And then this desperately needy, attention-seeking Herod finally did get his official title from Caesar Augustus, who ruled the whole empire, but gave Herod a title just for him, King of Judea, King of the Jews. So imagine Herod's reaction when this little band of funky fortune tellers from Persia shows up saying, "We're here to see the King of the Jews." You didn't see the sign on my door? I'm the king. Tell me when you find him, so I may also go and worship. Not you, Herod, another one, a new one, born right under your nose and favored by the stars. Unimpressed by the great king and his building projects, his title, the Magi pressed on to Bethlehem, where in poverty and danger they immediately recognized this new human sign of the divine light in their midst, and opened their treasures, their hearts, their understanding to the bright and compelling truth and life in the face of Jesus, God with us. And then the Magi slipped past Herod and recognized another way, another route, a route around the crazy violence. So drawn were they to a different king, a different way of being in the world, a poor king laying a different claim on their hearts, their lives, and their treasures. And that baby, the newborn Prince of Peace, also slipped through Herod's raging and later began to build something of a life as a kid and young adult in Nazareth. Nazareth itself unable to breathe under the same uncompromising violence and extraction of resources and extraction of soul. That young Jesus of Nazareth grew to be a provocative teacher and healer. He disappointed many of his own followers, his fellow poor, who wanted him to lead the violent revolt. Jesus also enraged those who had all the firepower and control, both religious and secular. And at the end of his life's work, when he's dragged face to face with the latest local keeper of the peace, Pontius Pilate, Jesus is still asked if he's a king, if he still dares to challenge the familiar way of doing business, the familiar ways of ambition and acquisition, of overbuilding and overbombing to keep the peace. Here in the liturgy, it sounds strange, but it is all about us. What will we do this new year to slip through the hands of all that would enslave us or dare us to despair? Will the poor Prince of Peace be recognized in the energy and events of our own lives this new year and beyond, in whatever we plan or build or decide? The good news of the birth of the poor infant king strips every Herod of their Santa suit and asks us to ask ourselves where we've placed our hopes, where we've opened the treasures of our heart and wallet, and consider if we might choose a new direction. And I mentioned identity. Here in this community, followers of Jesus, we are baptized and adopted into the new inheritance of our birthright as God's priestly, royal, and prophetic people. Here we take hold of our calling as citizens of this new king, this new reign, this new way of being in the world, this new tug of allegiance with all its responsibilities and all its bright promises and its power of healing. Here at the Eucharist, we take our place at the kingdom's table It's pretty poor and pretty meager and pretty life-giving. Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising, and we've come to pay him homage. When they saw the child, they were overwhelmed with joy, and opened their treasures. Again, what compromises have we made in our faith and in our determination, which have not turned out well and need a course correction? What have you been dreaming about, wondering about for this new year, for your life? While not sweeping away the pain of our losses and disappointments, what treasures do we still carry and cling to, ready to be opened and shared? Which star, which road will we decide to follow? Which well-worn and surely well-intentioned but lifeless path will we vow not to retrace? Having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road.